It's quite cool today. It dropped off in temperature. I was driving home a couple days ago from work, and I looked at the thermometer. It was 80 degrees, and by the time I got home, it had dropped 20 degrees. Well, I work in Flint and I live up here north of Midland, so about a 70-mile drive. But I mean, it was dropping. I was watching the thermometer drop as I was driving north. And then we had this rain, which is good, and it cooled off. We had a bad hatch of not black flies. I think they might be gnats. They're bigger than a black fly. Just swarms of them. And none today. Too cold for them. Been fighting a cold for a few days and just didn't have the strength, the gumption to work on the orchard. I mean, not much on the orchard. I did get my spraying done, but I didn't get working on the greenhouse much. Could hardly breathe. But I did get the wire up, and I got to get back to that. That's how the greenhouse is going so well so far. I need to wire the cattle panels together at the seams, and level the floor a little bit. I'm gonna have to mow my floor soon if I don't. There's the greenhouse. Smoothie tree. Golden delicious variety. Oh, look, there's a robin. Got a nest up there in the crotch of that tree. I'd rather have some martins around here to eat insects, but robins are welcome too. And these blossoms are the king blooms. I think opened up once or twice, but most of the blossoms still have to open up a little bit. This tree, now the lower limbs here are for the deer. Deer come in and eat those, so they pruned that for me. And I took the top out of this tree also. You can see the cut right there. So this tree is so much shorter than it used to be. I might have to cut it even more. Here's a golden, what's this called? Golden hornet crabapple. Of course, this thing just is a profusion of blossoms, almost like a flowering crab. Look at all those blossoms. Beautiful. I cut this limb off real short. This one up here because it was 6 or 8 feet long and just bending over. This is my gala tree. I cut its top off too. The theory to begin with on these trees near the house was I was going to let them grow tall and be very majestic looking, and then I tried to pick the apples from them up at 30 feet, and I said, I don't think so. So that top has been cut off, and I'm hoping that these upper limbs here, the apples will bend the limbs down to a manageable height. Nothing on the red max this year. Woo-hoo! Today Dale's covering up the ugly concrete work on his root cellar with some, that's cedar, Dale?
And this is tamarack.
Tamarack, okay. Local tamarack from the front orchard area. So he's got to put a nail into the concrete seam there. That didn't quite go deep enough, huh? He's going to overlap the boards So it looks like a wooden, yeah, like over there. So it's going to look like a wooden front. And he's going to build a top wall up here, kind of like an old Western storefront. You going to put that sign up, Dale? Ye old root cellar? Uh-oh. Good. You just crunched a 22.
Don't hit the steel, you don't get a explosion.
That's a 22 caliber hammer there he's got. What do you think, Jack? Everything but the boom you like, right?
Boring. The animals falling.
So here we are in the North Orchard. Oh yeah, we got some blossoms out here. The McCowan tree the blossoms are a little later blooming than others. So you see they're just in pink stage. Quite a few up there. I removed that center main leader. I was afraid I cut off 80% of the blossoms, but there's still quite a few left. The Dayton graft here. We've got some blossoms, good. The Liberty's well in bloom. This little tree had a few last year, maybe a quarter bushel. It's going to be loaded. See this? It's not quite mature. It happens like this: oldest wood first with blossoms, then last year's growth. Year before last growth. And right here is the seam. Where is it? Right there. That's last year's growth. So next year this will have blossoms on, and possibly some of the latest wood of last year. And in 2 years, it'll be blossoms all the way up to the tip here, just as those are. So we'll get a lot of apples on this year. A nice tree, disease resistant. The Liberty is well-formed limbs. Good crotch angles. Just a nice tree. And it's growing good in this real wet spot too. All my pears that I put here all died. I have pears on my pear tree. I have blossoms on my pear tree for the first time. Oh, and this tree is, how old is it? 10 years old? 2002 it was planted. This is an orchis pear. I don't get a lot of sunlight out here, so that's probably why that Warren pear tree doesn't have any blossoms. It's the same age. What I did is I stopped pruning the thing. See these shoots here? I didn't prune these off last year, or this year. I stopped pruning for 2 years, and since I didn't prune it, it wasn't trying to produce new vegetative growth, and I think it put its energy into blossoms. So it's got blossoms all the way up to the tips, even to some of last year's growth it's got it on. So the tree's finally matured. Maybe I'll get some pears this year. That would be great. Although I don't have any other pears in this orchard to pollinize it. I gotta find some pear blossoms somewhere and bring them over here. You cut a limb from another pear tree when somebody's not looking, and you take the open blossom limb and you hang it in this tree, and then when the bees go to it and pollinize it, they spread the pollen around. The king blooms are open on the Dayton, and today they'll be open all the way, and this tree is just loaded with blossoms. Now I sprayed that tent caterpillar up there. Okay, nest, and hopefully that's dead. There was one down lower here too. Right here. But I ripped this one up with a stick. So that was obviously going to be killed. I don't know if the poison penetrates the tent, but the worms do. So when they come out, they should die. This is the tree I do my texting on. So if you don't know what that is, look up texting on Sandhill Orchard's website, and you'll understand that. Is that an apple root? Could that be an apple tree? Coming from where I took out the fortune tree? It's possible. Here's the new one though, Sweet 16, and its buddy. Over here, this is my early apple tree. And I have zester on here. I have Northwoods early, my own tree that I got from a seedling. Notice the damage on these things, probably from cold. Those leaves were very tender when they first came out, and you get a little bit of frost damage or cold weather damage. So I'm getting some blossoms on that. Looks like the blossoms are all from the Northwoods early. These other limbs on the sides are other varieties, Zester, Lodi. I'm excited. I'm gonna get apples this year. Last year was a bad year.